You cannot force yourself to feel what you don't feel. If you don't feel it, it isn't there for a reason. You know, you can't try to rush these things or force them or impose your will on something that simply isn't meant to be. You have to understand something. You're incomparable. You have to stop equating success with struggling, sacrifice, and pain. All of these conditioning elements that have programmed you to believe that life is nothing but a struggle and a hardship. That's what they want you to believe. That isn't what life is all about. Your life is what you want it to be. And if something isn't there, you can't force it. It has to be there naturally. It has to come about naturally. It has to be already born naturally and created naturally. It is all about simplicity and ease and things just being there for you without any complications or hassles or struggles or sacrifices of you trying to force this thing into creation, whatever that is and whatever this video means to you. I know somebody needs to hear this today. That's why the universe is impelling me to do a video like this. You have to understand, you're incomparable. You have to stop comparing yourself to others and competing against others. Just be yourself, whatever that is, and be the best version of that, whatever you feel that is, and just stay that way as long as possible. Some days you have hard days, some days it's easy. That's life. It's the ebb and flow, tension and release, yin and yang, the light, the dark, but it's all good because it all serves a higher purpose. You don't see it now, but eventually you will. This is the reason why the universe hasn't given up on you, because the universe sees in you what you fail to see in yourself. So that being said, listen, if it isn't there, just let it be. It's fine. It could be for anything. If if somebody wants you to work for them and you just don't feel it, it's just not in you. You say, no, I just don't feel this, or they need you to do them a favor, or whatever it is, it could be you're in a relationship, or perhaps, somebody's trying to push you to go into a specific line of work, or this applies to anything. Or like, let's say, somebody's trying to encourage you to go down a different path in life or something, or try a different, form of meditation, or whatever it is, anything. If it doesn't feel natural, if it doesn't feel right, you can't force these things. You have to understand, you have an intrinsic vibrational nature to your soul and your heart. It's aligned with a specific frequency and a specific vibrational atmosphere. And when somebody comes along and says, here, try this, and you get that feeling like, I just, something, I don't know what it is, I just can't explain it, but it just doesn't feel right for me. You got to go with that. You have to go with that. That's your intuitive senses speaking to you telepathically, communicating to you that this is not good for you, even though it might sound good on the onset, and it might seem right, and all of these things, it might, all the checks are all clicked off. It's just something that's like, I can't put my finger on it. I can't quite place what's wrong, but it doesn't feel right for me. You have to go with that. Energy never lies. Like, you could be, hanging out and be in the company of somebody, and that somebody's energy is really making you feel like off, and no matter how good they look, that's irrelevant. That's irrelevant. You've got to go by energy, because everything is energy. That's why I say you're incomparable. You can't compare yourself to anybody else, because you're only one, and that's all you need. God didn't create more than one of you. Not at all. So if something doesn't feel right, you can't force it. If it's not coming to you naturally, then just let that speak volumes to you. There's a reason for this. This also applies to a relationship. Somebody could tell you, hey, they want to be with you, and you're just not feeling it. You can't just, all right, just to make them feel good, because then you're sacrificing yourself. And that's not right. That's not a good thing to do. You've been trained to do this, because they always say your life is sacrifice and struggle and pain, and they want you to equate success with struggle and hardship and 100-hour work weeks and work harder, work longer. That's nonsense. You don't work harder, you work smarter. Everything you've been brainwashed and programmed and taught and told and conditioned is all just nothing but a lie. I've said it a million times because it bears repeating, because it's relevant. It's the truth. It's all programming. This is how they keep you in line. Imagine, like I said, when you come to this world, you don't know anything. You're an empty cup, a blank slate, an absolutely clean page. And they write on you. Exactly. Okay, this is another one. We're going to want them to do this and be that and follow this and listen. That's it. And you're like, you follow. because you don't have any frame of reference to go to that counters this narrative that's written on the pages of your mind. So you listen obediently, and you're afraid to be different. That's why you're afraid to dance in public and show affection in public and be yourself and express your talents and showcase your abilities in public. You're absolutely petrified, and you can't tell me you're not. You are absolutely paralyzed with fear for being yourself and different in public, because what would other people think? I can't, I don't know. I just can't do that. That just wouldn't be right, because after all, what would other people think? Because you're so programmed to care more about what other people think about you than what you think about yourself, you sacrifice your individuality, not realizing you're incomparable. And if something feels off and it feels wrong, don't do it. But you also have to be able to differentiate what's programmed in you and what's natural. When you get that sense of being self-conscious and inhibited and the fear of being ridiculed and inferiority complexes and everything, you're afraid to be yourself in public. That's not natural. That's unnatural. That is what I refer to as instilled fear. Instilled fear. Not instinctive fear. Instinctive fear is a first sense of the soul, the intuitive sense, which is deliberately mislabeled as the sixth sense of the mind. The mind doesn't have six senses. And then you have instilled fear, which is program mechanisms that is implanted in your subconscious mind to cause you to be inhibited in the matrix, because they don't want individuality. They don't encourage individuality. How can you control 8 billion people separately if they're all doing their own thing? They can only control you if you're lumped into a mindless mass of nameless, faceless numbers aimlessly drifting through life. That's how they control you. Everybody's thinking the same, so guess what? Nobody's thinking at all. And that's how we can control them. All that Dr. Evil garbage. And that's exactly what you're dealing with, man. I'm telling you, that's the mentality you're dealing with. As crazy as that sounds, that's what you're dealing with. They honestly think that they're gods, and that's how they roll. But anyway, you're incomparable. There's nobody like you. You have to be yourself, and whatever that is, you have to express yourself to your fullest potential. This life is about you expressing yourself to the world, not impressing others. Arrogance is the voice of the ego. This is an egocentric device to attempt to impress others for status, reputation, and notoriety in the eyes of strangers. The soul doesn't roll like that. Humility is the voice of the soul. It's all about expressing yourself honestly, irregardless of how people receive that energy or not, because that's not your responsibility. If I send you love and you tell me to go F myself, it's not my responsibility how you received it, how you perceived it, how you translated it, how you interpreted that energy that has been sent. You see, I remember years ago working in Manhattan as a kid. Good morning, how are you? They look at you like you just killed their mother, because people are so miserable and so dark and so negative. That's all they know. Their programming is such that it will not allow them to permit any entrance of any high vibrational energies into that little cozy zone that they call their life, which is actually in existence. You are incomparable. You are remarkable, extraordinary. You are absolutely amazing the way you are, because God doesn't make mistakes. You've got to recognize that for yourself, and you have to embrace that truth and accept it as the truth that it is. But you can't sit and not express yourself honestly, because you're wasting your time. And God didn't give you these talents and abilities to isolate and shelter and keep them hidden away from the world, because these energies are crying out to be expressed through to fruition, to allow them to reach their fullest potential in the physical, not repress them and pretend like you don't have them, or just tuck yourself away in your room and be this amazing artist or musician or writer or whatever. You got to put your stuff out there. You're incomparable. You got to stop equating success with struggle and pain and hardships, and that's just programming. Genuine happiness is true success. True happiness is genuine success. If you're happy, you're successful. You have to rewrite these things by erasing their narrative that they have written on the pages of your mind. Their definitions are all lies, by the way. Look up the definition of the word success. It's all garbage. It's nonsense. I'll keep saying it till the day that I'm not here anymore. It's all nonsense. Everything you have been told has been specifically designed to make you do exactly what you do, and that's for you to be a follower and a programmed robot to do what you're told. Obey. Be obedient. Follow our commands. Listen to our orders. We will govern you. We will dominate you. We will control you. You are not to be autonomous or proactive. You are not to ask questions. You are not to step out of the box or draw outside the lines, because then it is regarded as disobedient and you will be punished. You know, that kind of garbage. That freaking dystopian society that they're trying to create. It ain't going to work for them. You see what's going on with all these characters in Hollywood? They're going to fall. Trust me. That cat P. Diddy, that's just the beginning. You'll see. You'll see what's really going on. And then you'll see all these people that you loved, all these Hollywood stars and rock stars and TV stars. You'll see exactly who and what they really are. Trust me. And then you're going to freaking throw up. But anyway, you are incomparable. Got to convince yourself of that. You have to stop equating success with struggle and pain and hardships and sacrifice. That's nonsense. It's about compromise. You know, compromising with the universe or others around you. And commit to that. It's not about sacrificing, but I've got to give something up in order to get something. That's garbage. That's garbage. That's, like I said, you're a little child that came to this world not knowing how this place works, and they told you, yeah, it's this and this and that, and that's how this is, and that's a tree, and okay, if you want to be a fireman, Billy, you know, all that garbage. That's their indoctrination camp. That's what you came through. You can't just unlearn that stuff in a second, because a lot of that stuff, unfortunately, you know, is borderline indelible. You have to consciously say that I have to rid myself of this programming, or else it's going to ruin my life, because it has ruined your life, because you're following the plan, the formula, the order, the acceptable process of things, exactly the way they designed it to be way before you were born. All of these things that you're subject to and you're subjected to have been in circulation for hundreds of years, probably thousands. As I've said, religion is the world's oldest form of propaganda. This is predating technology, of course. The technology that you have access to right now that's readily available to you. But unbeknownst to you, this technology that you have is not new. It's been around for eons, billions and billions and billions and billions of years. It's just that the reptilians decided to give it to you just recently. Your cell phone and your laptop and all this alleged cutting-edge technology, not cutting edge at all. It's archaic. It's old as the dinosaurs. Bluetooth was invented in the early 30s, just to give you an idea how far back they go with these things. This is reverse engineered. This is, you know, basically taken from extraterrestrial craft and also extraterrestrials themselves. It's what is referred to as crypto clearance. Give you an example. President of the United States is 27 levels below majestic clearance. Okay? 27 levels below majestic clearance. To give you an idea who's really running things. So the president, whoever the president is at the time, it doesn't matter. That individual is 27 levels below majestic clearance. So they're not qualified for clearance to be able to gain access into what's really going on, into the black works and skunk works and the stealth works and all the underground military facilities that they have all over the world. They never run out of money, folks. That's all. It's all a lie. The deficit, recession, unemployment, you know, cost of living increase, the fluctuations of the market, economics, it's all artificially induced volatility if you haven't figured it out. The stock market crashes because they crash it. It's AI algorithms that are controlling everything now. But back then it used to just be people. That's why they themselves don't invest in these markets, because they're the ones controlling the volatility of it. And they'll give you this long drawn out excuse as to why these things are fluctuating. That is what they call plausible deniability. Everything that you experience here is all done by design in their system. Nothing happens by accident. But remember, you are incomparable. You are cosmic. You are celestial. You are universal. You didn't come from this place. You arrived here to do what you need to do and then leave. If you didn't get it right, if you didn't learn your lessons or whatever, if your destiny wasn't complete or whatever the situation is, you have to come back and do it again until you awaken to the reality of eternal life. They always tell you this is the only life there is. Because they want you to be afraid. They tell you death is final. That's it. You're done. It's just going to be an eternal infinity of blackness. It's garbage. Again, garbage, because they want you to exist in fear, because fear is how they control you. You're incomparable. You have to stop equating success with struggling and hardships and pain and hassles and complications and impediments and delays, and just frustration. That's why people are so discouraged and disconnected from their inner child, not knowing that your inner child is what connects you to your earth angel. You know what I mean? And do yourself another favor. When it rains, please stop running away from the rain, because water is the most precious of all commodities in the universe. Without it, there is no life on earth. The thing that I find so hard is that when it rains, people run from it like it's acid pouring down from the sky. But if it were to rain money, I guarantee you'd all be outside killing each other over it. That's a guarantee. That's programming, man. That's programming. You know, you got to see your level of programming is so deep. This stuff is unconscious. They go from the conscious level of your mind to the subconscious, to the unconscious, to the superconscious, right down to the core of the primitive of your brain, which is reptilian, prehistoric, antiquated, archaic, the relic. That's Stone Age stuff, man. That's caveman stuff. That's why you have primitive instincts and primitive impulses and predatory reflexes. The first instinct, of course, is the instinct to survive. That's predatory. That's primitive. The second, of course, is for you to have sex and procreate, man. It's always survival first. And they know this. That's why it's survival first, is your most base, rudimentary, primitive instinct. Your second is procreation, right? So what does that really come down to? The first one, of course, is money, because you equate survival with money. So boom, they got you. And the second one is sex, which why do you think pornography is free online? It's everywhere. You see where I'm going with this? How they control you, and they just refuse to relent. They will not let you out of that toxic dome of terror. They don't want you to go. They don't want you to break that third dimensional barrier and ascend and become enlightened and awareness and awakening, and just just become consciousness again. Return to solution. Return to source. They want you to be unconscious in their satanic matrix. That's why this is demonic unconsciousness. You're unconscious, and it's up to you to realize that you're just amazing. You're incomparable. You cannot compare yourself to somebody else, and that's ego, and that is the nucleus of the matrix. Ego. The nucleus of that malevolent satanic cult is ego. Ego is a conduit through which the darkness funnels itself into your life. That's why you're always comparing yourself to others. You're always trying to compete against others. You're always trying to outshine, outdo somebody else. I have to win at any and all costs. I don't care what I have to do. I have to be the prettiest and the richest and the smartest for status, for notoriety, for reputation, to impress others, instead of being an honest soul and expressing yourself honestly, irregardless of how they receive that or not, because that shouldn't be your concern. You're incomparable. And that's the bottom line. And I really can't say any more than that. You just have to convince yourself of that truth. Have a blessed day.